When you stand in the middle of your future living room, looking at bare walls and the sky above your head, it's a sign that it's high time to start working on the roof. Welcome to another episode of Building the Smart Oasis, an energy-efficient house designed for daily living and built for the price of an apartment. From the very beginning, we've been working on it together with the team from Dom Perwan Energy, who handle everything from paperwork and materials to construction. Thanks to this, we don't have to keep track of deliveries or call Mr. Wiesig, who didn't show up with the next batch of concrete. In earlier episodes, we shared how the clever Oasis idea began, our emotions as the excavator broke ground, pouring the foundation slab and watching the walls rise daily. Well, what can I say? Something that was just a drawing on paper not long ago is now taking real shape. As in every episode, we're documenting everything for you so you can track the costs of each stage. This way, you can decide whether you're able to build a house with your brother-in-law, maybe handle a bunch of different crews on your own, or if it's better to go with a single general contractor who will take care of the entire construction. All right, we're chatting here, but things are already happening at the construction site.
Well, we have such gracious weather now that it's raining. So, gentlemen, what would be useful in our house?
A roof.
A roof. The finished trusses will be lifted up soon. We don't like heights, and I dislike them more, so we'll just watch and comment. Yes?
You're exaggerating a bit because you were on the longest bridge in Europe, Sky Bridge.
I only went up because you did. I didn't want to chicken out. All right, things will happen today. Let's start with the roof.
You may not believe it, but let's fly means something entirely different here. Honestly, we didn't even have time to complain about the drafts, and the roof is already in place. But don't worry, you haven't missed any episode. Claimer was just talking about the ready-made solution we chose, which is prefabricated roof trusses. In short, it's a version of the roof to assemble on site just without instructions in 10 languages and a free Allen key. However, it's worth remembering that not all trusses are the same, just like in a family. Each has its own character, task, and unique contribution. One popular solution is attic trusses. The bottom chord acts as the floor, adding extra square meters without screeds or complex solutions. It's a great choice if you want an attic study or storage for holiday decorations. Scissor trusses are also an option. The name might sound intimidating, but it's simply a way to have a more spacious ceiling. It's ideal for making your living room feel open and impressive. And if you don't need any upper nooks, then a simple lightweight structure without any fuss will do. Of course, there are many more possibilities, from roofs with different slopes to those with really large spans. As they say, there's something for everyone.
A sharp and observant eye will notice that there are also prefabricated gable walls, and in just 2 hours they'll already be on our beautiful house. If it's supposed to be a smart oasis, first it has to be an oasis, and second it has to be smart.
We need to tell them to put the roof on top, not the bottom.
Then say it!
Oh, something's wrong.
If you're such a tough guy, then say it!
No, it looks good down there too.
All right, it's time to get to work. Claimer said the roof will be ready in 2 hours. Putting together an IKEA wardrobe with your brother-in-law takes longer, let alone a construction like this, especially when everything starts with a walk around the ring beam. Probably not just to look around, but to make holes where the trusses will soon be placed. On top of that goes a layer of insulation, which is a kind of construction prevention against moisture. And then the angle brackets come into play to make sure the structure holds its shape and doesn't start swaying in the first strong wind. At the same time, assembly work is going on downstairs. The crew is joining 2 trusses into one solid module using prefabricated trusses. When everything is ready, the crane comes in, lifts the module with surgical precision, and sets it on the ring beam near the place where the gable wall will soon be located. The first element is firmly attached. From this moment on, the work picks up even more momentum. The next trusses are lifted, set on the ring beam, and connected with crossboards to the elements that are already in place. The whole thing comes together like dominoes so that the roof becomes stiffer, more stable, and ready for more. Every stage is thoroughly inspected. Level, plumb, and even millimeter deviations are all noticed. Thanks to this, everything goes like a well-oiled machine, so the speed is really impressive.
We haven't even had breakfast yet, and here the gentlemen are already finishing up the roof truss. Derek, why did it go so fast, and is it always this quick?
That's the advantage of a prefabricated roof truss. It could have replaced a traditional truss, but would have taken more time to assemble, install, and prepare. The prefabricated truss arrives ready to use, so measuring only takes 2 or 3 hours with this building type. The entire truss is ready. Since we're building this prefabricated element on a horizontal beam, we can use the entire upper area, cover it with oriented strand board, and create a large attic, which will be useful like in any house.
That's great because all those useful things will finally have a place to be stored. In a small house, every extra meter matters, especially now that the trusses are in place. It's time for another pair connected by a truss, which closes everything off from the other side. So now we have a roof frame stretched from one gable wall to the other, but the gable walls themselves are also waiting for their moment. Short boards are screwed in from underneath. It's a simple solution that will pay off soon. Thanks to them, when the prefabricated wall is placed against the ring beam, it doesn't tip to the sides, doesn't slip, and doesn't need constant adjusting. It's like a stopper that helps you position a large element precisely. From the start, everything is fastened to another truss, stabilizing the structure. You could say it's like a construction clamp holding everything together. Just a few more hammer strikes, some measurements, and it's really starting to feel like home.
People will surely have questions about our prefabricated gable.
Questions arise because there are various options available. You could have done a traditional version, built it with bricks and tied everything together with a ring beam. In our project, we actually used a prefabricated gable because of the entire roof structure, which will still make it easier for us to work on the interior side of the facade. We'll be able to easily insulate those areas in the attic, which was also created there. Success relies on each person's approach to the project.
But is it also simply faster and cheaper because of that?
Prices are all about equal right now. Nothing is noticeably cheaper or more expensive. Everything is similar, so you can use either solution. In our case, it was faster to use external prefabrication from both gables during roof truss installation.
Seeing how fast this roof is going up, Oxy is amazed. And we remember well how it looked in the traditional version when we built a house up to 35 square meters ourselves. A real school of construction patience and a gym all-in-one. Although the main walls and the ring beam were ready back then, just like ours are now, we still had to close the space by building two gable walls. Layer by layer, block by block. Everything was once again laid out to keep it level and plumb. When the walls reached their full height, the wood arrived at the construction site. Heavy, impregnated, and solid. No cranes. Every beam was raised by hand and teamwork. They were used to make the wall plates, which are the horizontal beams connecting the roof to the walls. Then construction of the roof frame began rafter by rafter. Each one measured, cut, and set in place with the greatest possible precision. No half measures, everything made to fit, so that in the end we could stretch the line and finish building the rest of the gable wall. This is where you clearly see the main difference between prefabricated elements and traditional masonry. Everything comes ready-made, so you don't have to fit each element by hand. And it almost assembles itself like a well-designed puzzle, and believe me, it really makes a difference. That's not the end of the roof work, of course.
As you can see soon, once the membrane is fully laid, we won't have to worry that when we enter our building, our smart oasis will get wet.
Don't worry, things like this aren't rocket science.
You can do them by watching our videos or other tutorials. But that's why we hire a professional crew, so we can just admire from below how everything will look beautiful in a moment.
Though the journey here varied, now everything is back on track. This task is important because you must address hidden issues that determine if the house stays dry. It's about the membrane, among other things, which works a bit like a rain jacket for the house. On the outside, it stops the rain, but from the inside, it lets moisture escape freely. Manufacturers often put lines on it to show where one layer should end and the next should begin, so you don't have to measure it all the time. The membrane is attached to the roof with counter buttons, thin strips mounted vertically on the rafters. Their job is to create a small gap that acts as a ventilation channel. This way, the roof can breathe freely, and moisture doesn't get trapped under the covering. Finally, horizontal strips called battens are screwed in place. Our roof tiles will rest on them. You can even use a piece of board as a template to quickly and evenly lay out the next rows.
It's been a while since I was here, and I'll tell you, it's growing faster than mushrooms after the rain. Recently, I was pouring the ring beam and cutting rebar, and now there's already a roof and windows. Here we are chatting, and I'm about to move in.
Things are happening, huh?
Yeah, right? It all happened so fast. Pew, pew, like fireworks.
Things are happening because the sky is getting cloudy and we want to make it before the rain, but before the first drop hits the gutter, it's good to make sure it has somewhere to flow. So it's time to focus on what's important, which is marking the spot for the downspout, and it can't just be somewhere off to the side. The drain must be placed at the system's lowest point. Then you mark the end hooks so that the gutter has a slight slope, ideally about 3 to 5 millimeters per meter. To avoid guessing, it's best to stretch a string between the end hooks and mark an even slope line. If you stick to its path, installing the next brackets goes really smoothly.
Clips. Clips?
No?
Something fell out of your pocket.
What?
A comb?
And I was so afraid of those recordings.
Comb your hair and get to work.
It's not a joke, it's really a comb, but not just any comb. We're discussing the sparrow comb, a feature placed above the gutter to keep pests off the roof. Such a small but important guardian of the roof, keeping everything in order.
The windows are coming in, but that's coming up, finally closed. Although, no, there won't be a door yet. It will be a half-closed state.
Things are getting more and more interesting on the construction site because the windows have just arrived, ready to become the next piece of our puzzle. So we're starting a delicate transport operation. Each window has to be moved to its final place, and it's not a quick package. These are elements that will protect the house from cold wind and noise, so no one is running around with them under their arm. Gently and sensitively, like handling an egg. For those who think that installing a window is some kind of black magic, let me say calmly, it's not spells, just a few well-planned steps. Once you know your opponent, it's easier to figure them out later. That's why we're here. Special insulation tapes are attached to the window frame, one inside, one outside, before installation. Right now we're discussing preparation. The tapes aren't pressed down yet, but they're already holding and will be important in the next installation step. Next, place the window in the opening. Once the frame is secure, apply the mounting foam. It fills the gaps between the wall and the window. Its role is just as important. It is supposed to keep the heat inside, the cold outside, and at the same time block out all the noise trying to come in from the street. The foam expands in the gap and after a while hardens, filling every nook and cranny. And since the foam is doing its job, we also decided to take a short break because, you know, big guys on the construction site also need to catch their breath sometimes.
All right, so who will find the best gun?
You said it on purpose, because I saw it right away. I have this old gun like they used to use. See, here's the primer, or whatever it's called.
You're laughing, but I even have a trigger here.
I've got an automatic one.
I've got one that you lay on this.
That's an awesome imagination.
As you can see, even a few sticks can be lots of fun. Meanwhile, the foam is finishing its expanding mission, so you can safely cut off the excess and move on to gluing the tape from the inside. The tape shields the foam from indoor moisture. It keeps water vapor from seeping into the insulation and weakening it over time. It's a small detail that does an important job. The window sash is reinstalled and each hinge is installed and adjusted individually. Everything must work smoothly without resistance, then the external tape is applied. You could say it's the last actress in this window theater, and the tape also has its role to play here. No moisture inside means no issues. The process is repeated similarly with each window. And the best part is that once you get the first one done, each next one goes more and more smoothly. Your skill grows, your speed increases, and most importantly, your confidence grows that everything is holding together just as it should.
We see one film for warm installation, but it's actually tape, not film. The question is about the unseen one.
Derek, why can't we see it?
And tell me what it was and I'll tell you why we can't see it.
It was white, self-adhesive, and protected the windows.
It must be removed as soon as possible, whether we start the facade work now or later. With the current temperatures and the sunlight, it can vulcanize together with the window frame, which will cause unnecessary large plastic pits. We usually remove it the same day or the next day after installation.
So you see, if you notice houses where there's still that protective film, it probably means the owner is already afraid to remove it, right?
The owner won't remove it anymore.
And he'll never remove it.
The windows are in place, so we're reaching the stage where the house will slowly start to show its claws. Now comes the part that everyone sees from the street and what the neighbors will look at with envy. I'm talking about the roofing.
So big and only 4? What a disgrace. Are we doing more challenges, huh? 7! 8! 8! We have another strongman, and 10, give it, go!
All right, hold it. Oh, Jesus.
I can't.
All right, thanks.
Take half!
Competitions are probably an inseparable part of every one of our construction projects, and maybe that's why it's easier to endure the hardships, but in this case, a queue committee turned out to be a better idea, to be honest. The roof tiles pass smoothly from hand to hand like a relay race. You have to spread them out on the roof so they're within reach. One pile definitely won't work for this job. Luckily, not everything must be carried up by hand. A definitely useful tool for this job is a roofer's lift, which really saves morale. Hauling roof tiles up isn't anyone's dream, and since it's tough, someone might ask, why did we choose them? And that's because concrete or ceramic roof tiles are still classics in the field. They're durable. You can choose from a wide variety of patterns and they last for years. But yes, they're a bit heavy, although the concrete ones we chose are more budget friendly. If you can't really see a big difference, then why pay more? Next, we have metal roofing tiles, which look like regular tiles but weigh almost nothing. It's quick to install, comes in many colors, and doesn't break the budget. For many people, it's the perfect middle ground. If someone prefers simplicity or is building something more industrial, they can go for trapezoidal sheet metal. It's minimalist, durable, and doesn't pretend to be something it's not. We also shouldn't overlook Zawodnik asphalt shingles, which are recommended for many roof shapes, including more complex ones. It's lightweight, simple to install, and resembles dragon scales on a roof.
They're currently installing roof tiles, but I don't want to ask about the tiles here, just about the asphalt shingles.
You know, asphalt shingles are a material that people think is cheap, that it's a low quality type of material.
It's just linked to summer cottages like RODO.
It's now widely used to build single-family homes. For example, I like shingles because they have excellent vulcanization properties. Over time, on a gazebo roof, it vulcanizes under the influence of heat, which creates a very good seal. Water won't get in there.
If you want to, I don't know, improve it, you don't remove it completely, you just put on another layer.
Absolutely. You don't have to dismantle it. You can easily add another layer to it. These are thin strips that are actually attached, screwed, or nailed together. There are many ways to connect them, and they will still bond with the layer underneath. And most importantly, it's a lightweight material.
So there's no reason to write it off.
No.
So many options for tiles and shingles.
It starts seemingly innocently from the lower corner of the roof. That's where the first tiles land, which, like on a string, set the line for the whole puzzle, and then you go up. Row by row, it's a bit like building a wall out of blocks, only at a height and with a better view. The tiles overlap each other tightly so that the covering protects against everything that comes from the sky. Every few pieces you also need to secure them with a screw or fasten them with a clip, especially if the roof has a steeper angle or if the wind in the area likes to show off. In our case, it was almost perfect. No chimneys, no windows, no need to cut anything. Most of the tiles fit in automatically without any surprises, and these are the moments we like the most on the construction site. At the very top goes the ridge tile, which is different from the others. It's semicircular and is installed along the ridge line. Professionally, it's called a ridge cap, but don't worry, you don't need to know ornithology to install it. And the ridge cap does its job. It seals the roof from the top and gives it a sharp finishing touch. And even though there's no facade, window sills or doors yet, the house is already standing. It has its shape and its proportions. It's not finished yet, but you can clearly see a real house complete with a well-defined roof. When sunlight streams through the windows, that's when you stop calling it a building and start calling it a home. And even though there's still a lot ahead of us, you can already feel that this whole puzzle is starting to make sense. Some of you are probably wondering, calculator in hand, how much did it cost? That's why this board is here, so everyone can look, compare, and ask one key question. What do we choose? And there are several ways to handle the construction, from the classic approach, building with your brother-in-law, to the full-service option. On one hand, we didn't want to jump in at the deep end and coordinate everything ourselves from A to Z, but on the other hand, we wanted to stay close to the construction, to know what, when, and why things are happening. And most importantly, for all of this to make sense, or better yet, to have a guarantee. That's why we decided on a legally operating crew, a specific schedule, and documents that don't disappear after the first advance payment. That's our decision, not chance. With time, knowledge, and strong nerves, self-management could be rewarding. Let this board be a point to consider, not a verdict, when choosing your path.
Welcome to the next construction stage. Today on the program.
Oh, things are going to happen because our house will get its covering, layers of insulation, decorative plaster, and exterior doors, which will give us an upgraded closed shell. Inside, installation work will also begin. Kilometers of cables, pipes, and solutions you should know about. To see how it looks inside, subscribe to the channel so you don't miss upcoming episodes. Also visit the website Spritnowaza.pl, where you'll find more information, visualizations, layouts, and answers to questions that are probably already on your mind. See you soon in the next episode.